Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. Today we'll start the chapter Federalism, that is the second chapter of Political Science Class 10 syllabus. We have already got an idea about federalism in the previous chapter, power sharing. So we'll understand the meaning and definition of federalism. We'll also understand the topic would be unitary and federal form of government that we'll cover today. The learning outcomes and the specific objectives would be to define federalism and differentiate between unitary and federal form of government. So let's talk about the meaning and definition of federalism. We got the examples of Sri Lanka and Belgium. We'll discuss those examples again and again, even in the upcoming chapters. And those two case studies are really important to understand the whole process of democracy, the whole process of power sharing. So we have noticed in Belgium that power was shared among different levels of government. Like you found 4 types of government there: central government, state government, capital government, and community government. Although the process was complex, but still you can see these were the different levels of government. You have studied about forms of power sharing, and you got an idea that such type of power sharing is also known as vertical power sharing, because it's going from top to bottom. So a very clear understanding of federalism, that federalism is a principle under which power is shared among the different levels of government. So very simply, you need to keep in mind that power sharing among different levels of government is known as federalism. So it is a system of government in which power is divided between a central authority and its various constituent units of the country. For example, central government and state government, and further local self-government like we have in India. So minimum 2 levels are required. Usually a federation has 2 levels of government. One is the government for the entire country, that is usually responsible for a few subjects of common national interest. And the others are government at the level of provinces or states that look after much of the day-to-day administering of their state. So you got here, we have these 2 types of government, and moreover further different levels are also possible. Both these levels of government enjoy their power independent of the other. So both the governments have their own jurisdiction, area in which they govern, and the subjects, the jurisdiction is clearly mentioned in the Constitution. So what power they would possess and what is their jurisdiction are clearly mentioned in the Constitution. So you got the idea here that federalism is a principle under which power is shared among the different levels of government. Now it's very important to understand the objective. The objectives are very clear. The objectives of federalism are: it ensures unity and integrity of a nation. And the second one, it accommodates regional diversity. You have already seen that in the previous chapter. It is all connected here. That whenever we share power, that would remove all the chances of conflict and the country would remain unified. So, assurance of unity and integrity of a nation, and also the regional variation. Every region, every area, every province has their own set of issues and problems. So regional autonomy, regional diversity is accommodated. So all live together. So federalism got dual objectives: ensuring unity and integrity of a nation and accommodating regional diversity. Now look at the map of the world, and the areas in red tells you the location of federal countries. If we go by numbers, there are only 25 countries in the world who are federal country, who are federation. However, that comprise nearly 40% population. And you can see here some important countries: United States of America, Canada, Russia, India. So all the big countries are federal countries. The only exception you can see here, that is underneath Russia, you see China, right? So China is an exception, although it's a very big country. Apart from China, all the big countries are federal countries. So we have seen the extent of federalism. Though only 25 of the world's 193 countries have federal political systems, their citizens make up 40% of the world population. Most of the large countries of the world are federation, and we have already discussed that the exception is China. Of the 8 largest countries in the world by area, Russia, Canada, the United States, Brazil, Australia, India, and Argentina are organized on a federal basis, and China, the third largest, is a unitary state. Other examples of federal countries are Austria, Belgium, Ethiopia, Germany, Malaysia, Mexico, Nigeria, Pakistan, Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. So these are other examples. So we can clearly see that the extent of federalism looks less in number but covers a large population. Now we have seen there that all the big countries, all the large countries have federalism. Now you can see the girl is thinking in the picture, looking at the world, looking at the globe. If federalism works only in big countries, why did Belgium adopt it? Although you have already got the answer for it in the previous chapter, and you can clearly see, yes, it's true that Belgium is a very small country. However, it has diverse population made up of multilingual groups that we have seen: Dutch speakers, French speakers, and German speakers. These linguistic groups have their own intersect, have their own issues, which might lead to social conflict. So to avoid any possible social conflict and political instability, Belgium adopted federal system of power sharing. Very simply, power sharing, federalism, vertical power sharing. So all sort of power sharing reduces the chances of conflict. Now, it's important to understand the difference between unitary and federal government. So it's very simple. Keeping the images of Sri Lanka and Belgium in mind, you have all these points here for easy comparison, and you can go with other comparisons as well, keeping in mind the perspective of India. In a federal form of government, the central government shares its power with the various constituent units of the country. For example, in India, power is divided between the government at the center and the various state governments. So, very clearly, in a unitary form of government, all the power is exercised by only one government, for example, Sri Lanka. However, in federal form of government, the power is shared with the constituent units or with the provinces as well. Second thing that you need to keep in mind and understand, in this sense, federations are contrasted with unitary government. So you get a clear demarcation between unitary and federal systems or governments. Under the unitary system, either there is only one level of government, or even if subunits are formed, they are subordinate to the central government. So, like the central government only. The central government can pass an orders to the provincial or the local government, but in a federal system, the central government cannot order the state government to do something. It depends. We'll discuss that further. So you got an idea that the central government is everything in unitary form of government or unitary government. However, in federal form of government, state government possess power. State government has powers of its own for which it is not answerable to the central government. Both these governments are separately answerable to the people. We'll discuss more about it and understand more when we would discuss the features in the next unit.
Term for the present.
Now we have the assignment questions, very clear. What is federalism? You got the question there, you got the answers here. Enumerate the objectives of federalism. You need to enumerate the dual objectives of federalism. And the second question is differentiate between unitary and federal form of government. You have the link for the assignment in the description as well. Thank you and have a great day.